houses, we walk down to flush them out.
Welcome to the Hearts of Men podcast, a journey into the depths of men's hearts where courage meets vulnerability and wisdom embraces integrity. In a world that often measures a man by his outer achievements, this podcast dares to explore what truly defines a man of character. We unpack the challenges and triumphs that shape men's lives, bringing to light stories of resilience, compassion, and unshakable faith. We believe that the heart of a man is a treasure trove of untold stories, powerful lessons, and profound wisdom. Through authentic dialogues and insightful discussions, we aim to unlock these treasures, one story at a time. So, whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. Get ready to be challenged, inspired, and transformed. And now, to guide you through this journey of discovery, please welcome your host, a visionary leader and a true catalyst for change, Dwayne Dwyer, but we affectionately know him as the Mindset Coach.
Greetings. Welcome to today's episode. Happy Friday. Happy being on this side of the dirt. Happy all of those good things. Welcome, greetings, all of the above to everybody here today in the chat, on the panel. Welcome to another episode of, I was about to say Coach's Corner. Another episode of the Empower Perspective podcast. Hearts of Men podcast here this Friday evening. Gentlemen, how is everybody doing this evening?
I'm good, man. I am good.
Oh, I'm great. I'm just waiting to see how this thing rolls because I'm gonna be sitting here with my popcorn, listening and educating myself with you, distinguished gentlemen.
Man, look. Go ahead, Timothy.
Man, I'm good. I'm here with my brothers, but yeah, we're gonna see how the thing roll out.
Man, it's gonna roll out great this evening. You know, we even gonna get some gold nuggets out of you tonight. I believe with everything in my heart, you're gonna be spitting hot fire tonight. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, all of these men that you have just heard from is none other than Dwayne Dwyer, the Mindset Coach, the poor man's Dr. Phil. Shift happens, and the son of Timothy, the available man. Not what you think, but he is available in a different type of way. So get your mind away from that. With that being said, I know I asked how's everybody's doing, man, but in the chat, I also want you guys to just chime in with how you feeling. Use an emoji or something if you want to give us a thumbs up that you're doing okay, a thumbs down, or even a thumb sideways. You know, we want to check on you guys too. You know, everybody over here, you know, we got weeks, you know what I mean? We have family, we have lives, we have jobs, we have careers, we have a lot of things going on in our life. And, you know, we're here Friday and we don't want to leave you guys out of the conversation, you know? So let us know how you feeling this evening, because like I said, life can be challenging at times. So we want to check on you guys too and see how you're doing this evening, because we understand that you guys could be anywhere else, but you guys chose to be here tonight with us. So we appreciate each and every one of you who are here tonight. With that being said, Coach, please take a few minutes, if you can, and introduce everybody by name and welcome them individually to the Hearts of Men podcast tonight. If you would, please, sir.
Absolutely, absolutely. As always, like Coach the consistency coach said, we greatly appreciate everybody who's joined us. You know, you can be any place else on this beautiful Friday evening, but you are here with us, and we do not take that lightly. So that being said, Crystal Everett, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Michelle Ray, good to see you. Welcome. Nick D, good to see you. Welcome to the show. Miss Verlene McCoy, aka Queen V, good to see you, and welcome to the show. Lisa Keys, good to see you and welcome to the show. And if I missed anybody else, I do apologize. Charge it to my cataracts, not my heart, because my heart's in the right place. I just don't see you. So if you are watching and you have not had the opportunity to get in the chats and just say good evening or whatever the case may be, please do so because on this platform, we like acknowledging you by name and giving you your flowers now while we still have the opportunity. That being said, I will turn it back over to the Uncle Junior himself.
Man, Shell just walked in here and dropped something off. So, and we had a little giggle, so that was funny. So, but moving on, but moving on. Hold on. All right, I'm back. All right, so with that being said, man, look, so tonight we're going to be talking. Getting here for something, but she good though. But with that being said, what we're going to be talking about, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about the superpower that you need right now. There are a lot of different superpowers. There are superheroes. I see people walking around in schools talking about teaching is my superpower. But at the end of the night or the end of this conversation, I hope that we all can kind of figure out what our superpower is if we don't know one. If we know what it is, you know what I mean? Are we willing to adjust it or maybe not? Or just at some point get to a point of understanding to where I want everybody to walk away at some point at the end of this conversation knowing what their superpower is, or at least start trending in that direction to see what your superpower is, or maybe not. Let's just kind of see where it goes. With that being said, gentlemen, we are going to move right into the first question of tonight. And this question is this: what qualities or habits have been most essential in helping you overcome life's biggest challenges, and how have these evolved over time?
I um I would jump out there first on this question. I think it's a number of them to be honest with you. The first thing that comes to mind is just me owning it. Like whatever it is that's going on in my life, there has to be some version of me that owns it, as opposed to playing the blame game and looking for every excuse under the sun. So owning my reality, owning that I participated in it in some shape, form, or fashion. I was participative or I was causative in my own current situation. So first and foremost, owning it. Secondly, I will put in there. I must say, the next thing as far as equality, I have to say, getting to the point to where humility became like a big deal for me. Humility and peace literally became like the guiding light for me. And if at any point in time I sense myself getting a little high, then I always try to find a way to bring myself back low. And pieces has become the thing that has been non-compromisable. And I think those things, the combination of those things together kind of helped me to overcome some of the largest challenges. And I think over the course of time, they have gotten better. And when I say gotten better, I can literally sense within me, like whenever I start to think a little bit too much of myself, then I have a way of bringing myself back down. To where I get to the point that I start talking more external about what's going on out here, talking about these people, so forth and so on. Then I start focusing on what it is I'm doing and how I participated or what I did to cause this particular thing. Like that for me is how it got better. I own it quicker, I get to it faster, and then I make the necessary adjustments within.
I think for me, being able to have a closed mouth and listening ears helped me a lot, helped me grow. Whereas beforehand, I always had the answer. Or even if I didn't have the answer, I had something to say. I think learning to listen to what wise counsel and being able to learn from any and everyone helped me tremendously because I think some people think that if a person is not where you think they should be in life, you can't learn from. Whereas I think that you can learn from anyone, even if it's how not to do a thing. You should be able to learn from them. And I think being able to look at and view people in their situations and surroundings allowed me to see that you aren't where you are, but you aren't where you started also. So simply because not being where you're trying to go doesn't mean that you can't show someone else how to, the roadmap to get there if you're striving to gain that sense of direction.
Hey, real quick before we move on, I would like to for somebody to give an example of what a big challenge is, because I understand that challenges are subjective, very subjective. And sometimes the hardest thing that you've ever been through is the hardest thing that you've ever been through. So, in your opinion, because I think there may be some generalities, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about something that would be considered a big challenge versus something that is not necessarily a big challenge. Like I say, I understand that it may be a lot of subjectivity here, but I'd like to see what you guys have to say.
I think for me, I would say I've always, not other people, I've always been my biggest challenge. Being able to get past ego, being able to get past excuses, being able to get past history and how I was brought up and my surroundings and everything. And when I could take me out of the equation, then it helped me see that there's a bigger picture out there. So, and it may be vague, but I think to me, it's not as vague because I'm looking at it from, I'm introspectively looking at it because I know that I've always been the person or thing that held me back from gaining any type of progress to going where I was trying to go, because whether it was fear, whether it was me holding on to something or whatever, it was always me.
I don't think that's vague though. I think that that is a generality. I think that a lot of people have a problem getting past themselves, and I think that is a big challenge that for a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people don't get the success or the certain things in life that they want. So I don't think that that was vague at all. I think that was spot on as far as what I was looking for, as far as that question that I asked.
Yeah, I'm same thing, but I'll go in more specificities. When you look at how you imagine your life unfolding when you were younger, when you were in that dream state, whatever the case may be, when you got married, when you were pursuing a particular career, whatever the case may be, and then you hit that point where it just felt like your whole world crashed down, like you went through a divorce or something of that nature. I think those would be examples of those things when you start looking at those big challenges, being able to overcome that and bounce back, having the mental resiliency and the emotional stability to come back and still function, function as a healthy human being, if you will. Those would be big challenges in my opinion.
I thought you was about to go with. I'm gonna let you go in a minute, Gaddy, but I thought you was gonna go with reality, because I think that's a big challenge for people to overcome too.
that's,
Like,
that's coming.
sheesh,
It's coming, just wait.
reality. Golly. What you got, Gaddy? You got something to add to that, or you want to jump back on this question?
Um, well, on the caveat question for me, I all of us being soldiers, when I think of just commonality, if I'm talking in a public setting of what a hard time is, I think back. Remember when we used to do those you gotta be careful with your word YouTube, your unalive training, unalive prevention training. Uh, we always talked about what are some of the key factors to look for, right? Because these are some common things that people go through that lead to hard times that cause us to spiral. And I think Coach kind of brought up one when we talked about divorce. You talk about financial hard times, or what have life changes that affect people, or just like what you said, reality. Because a lot of these things are reality. Everybody's relationship is not going to go well. Everybody's money is not going to always be good. Uh, and so those are some of the things that I consider to be hard times on a broad spectrum. Uh, and then the question at hand, y'all hear me well? I'm good on
It's a
my
little
end.
choppy, but you coming through.
Okay, my apologies. I just started acting up. Um, but on this question, for me, it's an up and it's a down on me. It's knowing, learning when and how to care. Uh, um, I think some get overzealous on everything, and I have to learn when to draw back. Sometimes I think I put too much effort and too much care in things that doesn't hold a lot of weight. Uh, and then they become a lot of mental involvement in a thing that doesn't need to have much mental involvement. So uh, that's one of the habits I had to learn how to assess the thing and realize how much energy you need to go to that thing. That's all I got.
I would say, looking at this question, one of my biggest challenges was being able to see things through to the end. I would start something, I wouldn't complete it. I would start something else, I wouldn't complete it. Um, and that was a habit of mine. So one of the things I started doing was just started being more intentional, and kind of creating a plan from start to finish with that project or whatever it was doing. So a simple adjustment or habit I created was creating a plan for that thing, like writing it down, saying this is what I'm going to do, yada yada yada. So just being able to write things down, and create a plan for them has created some success. Also, um, being more consistent with things. You know what I mean? Just developing a habit of being consistent with things, excuse me, pays off huge. Whenever anything that anybody on this panel or that is watching this show right now, anything that you have been successful at, you have had to have a certain level of consistency in order to be able to do it. Yes, discipline and other things go along with it, but you had to maintain it over and over and over and over and over again until you were able to get to that goal or conquer whatever it is that you were going through or whatever that challenge or obstacle was. So, I want to move on to the next question. How do you think personal strength like resilience, adaptability, adaptability, or focus have impacted your success, and how can others develop these same abilities? Um, Before y'all answer, I think this is a good question because we're on here and we're talking and we're having these conversations, but it's not just about having a conversation. What can people on the other end learn or pull away from these conversations? So I think this is why it's important. This is almost coming up with, excuse me, nuggets or clues or helpful hints that people can get from these conversations. So I kind of said that for them, but also to give you guys a couple of minutes to kind of think about it before you give an answer. So with that being said, I will read it again. How do you think personal strength like resilience, adaptability, or focus have impacted your success, and how can others develop these same abilities?
I think these things help me learn not to run from the pain, run from the problems, because early on, instead of going through the trial so that I can learn the lesson and get past it and pass the test, conquer it, whatever, I would run from it. So learning these simple, habits here has been helpful in my growth because I realized like sometimes you mentally tell yourself that whatever the thing is worse than what it really is. And when you do it, it's like, okay, I don't want to go through it, even though I know if I go through it, I can gain something. You talk yourself out of the victory. And these personal strengths here, resilience and everything, that's something that you go through and there's something that's built upon. So when you can build these things and that whole word that told you up in the first place, that adaptability, sometimes you have to adapt to your situation so that you can realize, like, man, I can triumph over this thing and not have to be afraid of it. And it helps you tremendously in the long run because now you aren't moving out of a spirit of fear, but you are, even though you may not know how to do or know how to move in certain areas, you tackle the task in spite of that.
Man, so when I look at this question, resilience, adaptability, or all to me are necessary in my success or whatever it looks like, because I think I'm still on my way to wherever I'm going. But resiliency had to be a key factor, because whether you're in the military or in the civilian workforce, there's people that affect your job, that affect your mission, that sometimes affect your ability to complete missions on the job. There's people that affect the environment around you, uh, and we have to learn how to withstand a lot of those things and to drive forward, even with if it's something that was out of control, that just popped up in the middle of our ability to do a thing. We have to learn how to stand resilience, but sometimes that's also come with having a plan, right, and staying focused. Because I think focus and resiliency can go together. Um, and then adaptability, change happens. Everybody on here has been promoted, has been in a new position, has a new unit, in a new phase of life, and you have to learn how to adapt. They don't do it over here in 211 like they did it in 282. It's two different units. They both FA, but they both different. And so you got they they move different. The culture is different. You have to learn how to adapt to it, or else if and I've learned this, never learn how to adapt. The only thing you can do is regress, because everything is going to continue to evolve and move forward. Um, so as I look at these, um, I think all essential to success and to growth. Uh, and others, we just got to practice and grow every day. I think when we talk about how can others develop these same abilities, you got to practice them. I think the unfortunate thing when it comes to resiliency, right, is that the only way to gain it is to go through something. You can't gain resilience. Resilience is a thing ever gone through it or dealt with a thing. And it, same thing with adaptability. You have to go through changes to get there. Um, but having a good support team that you do is important.
Hey, coach, I'm gonna jump in here before you do, so I ain't gotta go back to back. All right. And also, first of all, I think everything that y'all said, I get everything. I grabbed it. Also, I want to just add to, how do you think personal strengths like resilience, adaptability, or focus have increased your success? It has made all aspects of my life better. That's how it has impacted my success. When it comes to my relationships, when it comes to my finances, when it comes to my health, when it comes to my fitness, when it comes to my career, when it comes to my hobbies, all of these different things have been impacted or have created a certain level of success in my life in all of these different categories. You know, when you're more resilient, it don't just help your relationships, it also helps in other aspects of your life. And even if we want to just stick to relationships, it doesn't just help in relationships with your wife or your husband. It helps in your relationship with your kids, with your siblings, with your co-workers too, even with that person you call a boss. Yep, even the boss that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that how can others develop these things? Just like Gaddy said, first of all, is you have to go through things. Going through things helps build up a certain level of resilience and adaptability, and it causes you to regroup and then have to focus on another way of getting around or getting through the obstacle that may be in front of you. And also at the same time, where did my other thing go? You have to do hard things. Doing hard things on a regular basis or doing hard things on purpose allows you that ability to go through something hard. So when other hard things come up, you are a lot more able to be able to deal with them and go through them, and have a little bit more resilience to them. So me and Coach actually just recorded. We just talked about this in an episode of Coach's Corner here, not too long ago. So pre-recorded. So stay on the lookout for that. Um, what you got, Coach?
Guilty. No, I'm joking. Um,
Guilty. Hmm.
I I think all of us can reflect and remember a time when we had in our mind what success was going to look like for a particular thing. And we were so excited and we were motivated to do this thing or whatever, kind of like what we talked about the other day. And when we tried it, it pushed back on us. So my perspective of success, it didn't show up the way I thought it was going to show up. So success kind of had to teach me some things as I was trying to pursue it. Well, one of the things that it taught me is that I needed to be resilient. If I was going to achieve success, I needed to keep trying because there were some lessons that success needed to teach me before I got to it. Also, having a unfixed mind, right? Because we can have a fixed mindset as it pertains to a thing. I need to do it this particular way, right? So success was telling me that, hey, yeah, I got what you're thinking, but unfortunately, it's not going to work that way. You're going to have to make an adjustment. You're going to have to make a, have to dip to the left. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to start swaying with the motion in the ocean, right? You're going to have to do all of those things. For those of you who don't know, that's called hydrography. So you're going to have to get with the motion in the ocean in order to ride the waves of the ebbs and flow when it comes down to trying to achieve success. Because if you have a fixed mindset, success will break you in that mindset and help you to realize that you're not going to get it that way. And then focus to me is one of the big ones because unfortunately we live in a world with so many distractions that we have made distractions our comfort zone. So if we don't have seven screens open, and we talked about this before, if we don't have seven screens open on our computer, we don't feel like we're doing enough work. If I'm not multitasking, I don't think I'm being effective in what it is I'm doing. So being uh, the ability to focus on a thing for a particular period of time allows me to come up with the ideas and the exercise critical thinking in the moment so that I am able to work out certain tasks and overcome certain obstacles that present itself in the midst of the pursuit of success. So how does it impact it? Immensely. Resilience, adaptability, and focus is a necessity when it comes down to trying to achieve success.
I can't knock it. I cannot knock it. With that being said, gentlemen, what was I going to say? Hey, Ravonna, can you put up that last question for us, please? Where'd it go? Actually, it was this one. Did something change? Can y'all hear me? I feel like everything just got real quiet all of a sudden. Like, I don't know, maybe I missed something. So, chat, gentlemen, this right here, this is the last question of the night. I just put it up here. We're going to come back to it, but the reason why I wanted this to come up here was so the panel could see it, and so um, the chat could see it. Because at the end of the show, I want you to type in what your superpower is, or what is the superpower you think you need right now in your life. So again, I wanted to put this up here so as we're talking, you're thinking about this, and then at the end, you can respond to it in the chat. All right. All right. With that being said, the next question is this: what internal shifts or mindset changes have made the greatest difference in your relationships, career, or personal life? And why do you think they were so powerful? Whew. I'll start with this one. Man, mindset shift was darn, I ain't always right. man, I don't know if it was my ego or what it was. I used to think that I was always right. I was like, man, how in the world is how come they do not get it? I'm just like, man, it's plain as mud. How come they don't get it? And I just knew I was right, man. And even to this day, sometimes I don't know if it was ego. I don't know if it was, maybe I really was right. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but that was, just having an understanding or coming to an understanding, knowing that I wasn't right was a big game changer. It has made a lot of difference in my relationships because I know that I'm not always right. Yeah, I'm open to a difference of opinion or a difference of a perspective, because now I know that I don't have to be right, or I can be right and Gaddy can be right too. It's just that the perception or the lens that he's seeing or that we're seeing the same thing through is just different, so um I'm not always right when it comes to my career. Sometimes there are people in my job who know more than me. Sometimes I need to shut my mouth. I think Roland mentioned that earlier. Sometimes I need to shut my mouth and listen to what somebody has to say, because they may know more than me. I don't know everything. Personal life, I don't know everything. I'm over here telling myself, oh man, you don't have the body you want. You don't look the way you want to, but I am not necessarily always right. I don't know everything. Maybe now I need to go hire a personal trainer, or maybe I need to go hire a personal coach to help me through this thing that I'm going through, or help me get to where I need to be. Right. So just again, knowing that I don't know everything was a huge mindset shift for me, and has created nothing but great differences in the positive manner in my life. And why do I think they're so powerful? Because all of these areas of my life have gotten extremely better in my relationships, my career, and my personal life. All things have gotten better because I had a mindset shift, understanding and knowing the fact that I am not always freaking right. That's it.
So first of all, I apologize. I think I'm back in the fight now. Um, so with this one, it's kind of similar, Coach, on to what you just said, because I am the type that don't need to always be right, but I always need to have the answer. I have to go find the answer, and I have to give the answer. If something can't stay broke or can't stay wrong or can't, and then I have learned that in doing so, you know, even as a 42, right, being as an HR guy in the army, being in a shop full of other HR guys, I have to, even if it's not my lane, I have to go find the rig. I have to go do the research, and I have to know the answer. Then I have to come back and provide that answer, just in case everybody don't have the answer. But then I started realizing when it comes to relationship building in the professional world, I was cutting a lot of people's legs doing so, especially when they outrank me. And so I've had to learn that, because that's a habit of mine in life. I always have to go find the answer. I have to know why people think a certain way, why people act a certain way, why it's broke, why family, and I feel like I always have to give the answer. And so essentially, I'm saying the same thing Uncle was saying. I have to be in the sense of being right. And so sometimes I had to learn that I don't have to always provide the answer, though I have the desire to know the answer all the time. It is sometimes it's not proper for me to give the answer in that setting. Maybe I need to go share it with the person that should be giving it one on one and see if they found the answer. Hey, did you see? So I was looking it up. This is what I got. And so those are some of the shifts that happened that made my professional life better, allowed me to have better relationships in my professional life at least.
to where I don't undercut people because I have a desire to go find the answer and then deliver it. There's a way of doing things and seeming arrogant, and then there's a way of doing things to where it actually becomes helpful. And so that's I had to find that balance.
I think Roland frozen.
Rolling there, he froze.
I think he froze.
Oh, he might have been frozen for a long time then.
May have been. I'm not sure. I think it's twofold here for me. First and foremost is that I am not in competition with anybody but myself. That was one of the biggest things, because we live in a society that pits everybody against one another. We're so competitive when it comes down to each other. Um, so the comparison trap is real, and so we have to adopt that mentality. Is that I am at that point in my life to where my job is to be better today than what I was yesterday. That's the competitive edge for me. The other side is that I am not who they say I am, and so you can kind of listen and kind of fill in the blanks, right? I am not who they say I am. So whoever you perceive they to be, that's the right answer. So we have to relinquish the mindset, the notion, the concept of the identity that somebody else gave you so that you can assume the proper identity so you can be the best version of yourself. And why do I think it was so powerful? Because I think both of those together helped me to get to that point, to having a renewed identity, an identity that more closely aligns to what the scriptures actually talk about.
All right. You said something about you're not in competition with anybody. I get that. But I also, can you help me or help us? There's like a verses in here versus what we hear sometimes. Sometimes we hear, I'm not in competition with anybody. But then on the other hand, we hear that, a little healthy competition is good because it can sometimes push creativity. It can spark some motivation to get you going. It can push people because there is some competition there. So how do we navigate those two? Again, being not in competition with somebody, but at the same time, what we hear, healthy competition is good.
I think we live in a world to where we are quick to put the word healthy in front of everything and say it's good. That's what I'm gonna
Mhm.
start with. Again, competition is exactly that, competition, right? We compete against a foe, an adversary, whatever the case may be. Can I look at what you're doing and learn from what you're doing and then put some of those things into practice? Absolutely. We're still not in competition though. I am learning from you because you're doing a thing. So, how do we define healthy competition? By a person sharing something with you and then you're seeing what they're doing and say, oh, I want to do better than them. No, that's called collaboration. That's not competition. If my goal is to want to do better than you, then the question that I have to ask myself, why is it that I want to do better than you? Why not try to do better than what I did beforehand and then use you as a sounding board to kind of help me grow in that vein, right? So I think that's the thing. We tend to put the word healthy in front of everything and say it's good just simply because we say it's healthy. Like this is a healthy microphone. Sure it is, because it works. So that's my point. We throw the word healthy in front of everything and say, yeah, that's it. Okay, change the narrative now. What would happen if we start using words like collaboration instead of competition? Because again, what is the end result? If it's some person that you're competing against, is there not a winner? So who ultimately wins? Well, if you win and I win, it sounds more like collaboration. And if I'm not mistaken, the last time we talked, we wanted everybody to win. So that's not competition at all. That's called collaboration. And that's my thoughts.
All right. So I've been watching Roland, right, on TikTok, and that Joker been putting up a whole bunch of weight, right? That Joker been on there lifting weights. That Joker been squatting all this heavy weight, all this stuff, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, man, that Joker look nice, man. The body looking good. You know what I mean? His form look good. Everything over there look good. And I'm like, man, I I want to get past him, right? So I'm looking at him like as my competition, though, right? Like not in a negative way, but I need I need a goal. I need something to strive for and to get past. So now I'm looking at Roland as my competition. He don't know that I'm lurking, ninja watching all his posts, you know what I mean, trying to do the same thing he do, eating the same supplements he doing, you know what I mean, watching it from the background. But I see him as my competition. You know what I mean?
But
And that is driving me. I'm starting to see gains in the gym. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? My little pea shooter's starting to get big a little bit, and I'm having some success. So what is wrong with that? Or isn't that healthy competition
No, it's called motivation.
called motivation?
Right. You're using
Okay.
him as a source of motivation. We don't,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
and that's the thing that we have to digest.
Mm-hmm.
You are not my competition. I don't even care. Like case in point, I use the most like worst scenario. Not like I'm trying to be like somebody. When people go through relationships and then they separate, go through a relationship. I said that. When they have relationships and then they have a bad breakup, that person is not the adversary. You see what I'm saying? It's just
Mm-hmm.
that you two were in two different mindsets when it comes down to what relationship is. But the issue is that most people can't come to some type of resolution in their adulthood. That sink in for a second. In their adulthood, to be able to separate amicably, that becomes part of the problem. So what we'll do is we'll put terms on people that don't belong. I'm not competing against you because I'm supposed to be collaborating with you. So if changing the narrative, I can use Roland as my motivation because I see him hitting the gym hard, all that other great stuff. Like we used to do CT Fletcher back in the days. We'll see what CT Fletcher got going on.
Yeah.
We go to the gym, we're trying to do the same thing, right? Well, if I knew CT, I pick up the phone and say, hey, CT, I need to holler at you, bro. Like, tell me what you did to get to where you are right now. That's called collaboration. But what we do, and I'm just being honest, I'm not saying you, but what we do is we're too fearful to reach out to the other person. And what we want to do is, like you said, we want to ninja watch, hide behind the scene and be like, little creep life, we looking. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? Like, why? Why not just ask the brother what he got going on and maybe he can give you some pointers and tips and things of that nature? We need to stop that. We're not competing against no person. Stop that. That's bad juju.
Yeah. I get it, man. I was just trying to, just trying to understand it a little bit more. I'm on here and I be trying to learn too. You know what I'm saying? So, but I appreciate everything that everybody has said, up to this far. Again, up to this point, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching and you have not already smashed that like button, or shared this video or hit a heart or 100 or anything like that, please do so at this time. And we greatly appreciate that. Gentlemen, in your experience, you guys are old now. So in y'all long 70 something years, 50 years of living, being soldiers, traveling around the world, all these different things. Which traits or skills do you believe are often underestimated? Underestimated, right? But can be the key to long-term success and fulfillment. So in your experience, which traits or skills do you believe are often underestimated, but can be the key to long-term success and fulfillment?
since I was pegged as the old guy uh, with all the experience, I'll go first. Uh,
The baby of the bunch.
yes, sir. Yes, I'll take it. Um, I would say to to me, my experience has taught me that listening while everyone is talking is a very underestimated skill. Right? In every aspect, I have learned to listen while people were talking around me. I don't have to be in everybody's conversation because you can hear what people are really thinking, what people are really saying. Uh, in the workplace, when I listen to other people talk, people are like, man, how did you learn all these different aspects of S1, right? Easy. When other people are talking and answering questions and asking questions, I'm listening. I want to know what the answers are too. I want to know what's going on as well. In the absence of leadership, I can step up. Why? Because I know what's going on. I'm not in the dark. Right. Uh, no matter where I am out and about, if people are conspiring or trying to put things together behind my back, You can't do it if I'm listening, if I'm paying attention. See, too many people are caught up in what they're doing in their tunnel vision, but this thing's going on around you, and sometimes we miss the plot, we miss the sneak attack, and we miss information that can become useful to us. All these different ways that it can become useful for us to just sit back and listen. I don't have to join every conversation. Matter of fact, Roland may not know he's being talked about, but I hear them talking because I'm not trying to. And because if I jump in that conversation and then I find out they're talking about my brothers, now I look like I'm in the game with them, just talking about them. But instead, I'm able to hear. I'm able to see what the plot is, and I can go to my brother and say, "Hey, hey, we need to tighten up because blah. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. We need to get it together." We can actually be ahead of the power curve and ahead of the game, and even ahead of the attacks that are against us when we learn to listen, when we learn to pay attention, to be aware of our surroundings. So to me, that's a very underestimated skill.
Bro, hold up. Now, if I'm hearing you correctly, you said so the answer to your question, in your experience, which trait or skill do you believe are often underestimated? You said listening. Are you frozen? Yeah, listening, bruh. That is the most simplistic thing that you can do. It requires nothing. You don't even have to move a muscle in your face or anything to listen. Underestimated listening. Wrote it down, taking notes. Who's next?
Since I was, I lost my furniture, my keys, and everything, I didn't get to answer that last question. My background. Uh, and then I came back and I was in the gym lifting the whole gym and that whole fictitious story. But I wanted to chime back in on what internal shifts or mindset changes have made the greatest difference in my relationships, career, personal life, and so on and so on.
Go
Because
ahead.
mine was pretty much the opposite of you guys. Because for me, I was used to being fake. So that internal shift where I didn't have to be fake. I didn't have to be the fake friend. I didn't have to go along to get along. Where I learned to be my own man and stand on my own morals and have principles of my own instead of just going with the flow. I think that made the difference in my life with my friends, with my family, with my, because before I could be a fake friend, I could be a fake boyfriend, fake husband, or fake whatever, because I would just think of how a role was supposed to be played, and I would just jump in line and say, "Okay, I'm telling what you want to hear." And then when you do stuff like that, you have those pseudo relationships to where there aren't relationships of substance, but they're relationships of convenience. So that's where I am with that one. And to go with this one, man, it's gonna be short and sweet. Self-reflection. When I don't care what the situation is, where somebody is, I can look at them whether they're up or they're down. I got to look at me before I look at them and cast any type of judgment. I look and see my motives for how I'm thinking, my motives for how I'm viewing them. And when I start looking at things like that through a self-reflective lens, then I say, okay, I could see how people choose this route, but I may not want to. That's not my path.
Self-reflection. Okay. Let's see what Coach going to spit out.
He ain't got nothing. I I love the listening thing that Gaddy said. I mean that was like literally spot on. Self reflection. That's kind of like my thing. Um, I'm going to go back to what I said previously. I think again, collaboration has to be the thing. Like we struggle in the space of collaboration. I struggled in the space of collaboration. because we tend to do one or two things. We think that number one, we might be better, or those people are beneath me, or the other side of it is that they won't accept me. So one way or the other, we're projecting our own insecurities on other people, and then we become fearful with trying to connect, collaborate, whatever the case may be. I think, and you guys know this because this sounds familiar. I think a lot of times, especially in the space of just conversation, teaching, whatever the case may be, I think a lot of times there are some people who feel that they're ready to teach when they themselves still need to be taught. And I think because that is a thing, what ends up happening is that their ego gets the best of them and they think they cannot learn anything. I like what Roland said. I can learn from anybody. Absolutely. So when we get that ego out the way and recognize that we're all placed on this earth to work with one another, the question that I had to ask myself is how many connections do you have? How many people are you actually working with? Who are you really helping right now? And I think a lot of times, you know we limit that to just like immediate family members, like the people that live in my house. But if I'm only helping the people that live in my house, then how can I be a functional part of any community? How can I look myself in the mirror and be completely transparent and honest with me, the first person I need to be honest with before I can even consider being honest with somebody else? So collaboration to me is one of those things that we underestimate, and it can definitely be a key to long-term success and fulfillment.
Man, you guys are on it. Listening, self-reflection, collaboration. I'm going to add to the pot the power of no, right? That trait or skill or habit or whatever it is that you want to call it, you know. So for me, that trait or skill that I believe is underestimated is the power of no. I think a lot of people go through life saying yes way too much. I think people say yes way too much when it comes to their time. I don't know why it is. For some reason, everybody thinks that they need to say yes to every single thing. You don't. It is okay. If you say no to somebody else will say yes to them. I remember, I'm gonna get real personal right now. I remember a long, 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 long time ago. I was in Arizona and my dad struggled with substance abuse. And you know how it is. If you don't pay the dope boy, they come get you. Right. So that was the situation during that time. He hadn't paid and he had called me and he said, "Hey, look, son, I need X amount of money or I got to deal with these dudes." I had to deal with the reality that if I say yes, I may just be prolonging the situation. If I say no, I may have to deal with the consequences. However, I had to figure out what I was going to do in that time. And I chose to say no. It was a hard decision, but that at that time I thought I did what I was supposed to do. And I still stand by that decision to this day because I understood that regardless of the situation, that was the situation that he had put his life in. And regardless of our relationship, I was not responsible for the life that he had chose. You know what I'm saying? I was very fortunate to that my dad was able to get out of that situation, to recover, to have a great life for many years after that. We was on very great terms when he passed away. But the power of saying no is not always easy either. Sometimes it's freaking hard, you know. But I will tell you this, it is something that is very, very, very underestimated. And when I learned to really, really say no, it became very powerful in my life. It was like a weight had been lifted off because I didn't have to give in to every single thing that someone wanted me to do. So that's kind of my 2 cents on all of that. I don't even know why I said that story, but it is what it is. Anybody else want to chew on this subject a little bit before we move on?
Hey man, no is a complete sentence.
Okay, it is. And to Lisa Keys in the chat, yes. They were talking about my coffee, and Shell got me cheesing off this coffee. Yeah, we got a new coffee machine, early last week, I think, or so. So we've been making coffee. So I wanted something tonight. So she made me some, and she came in here earlier, and it's good. Ain't nothing in it, ain't no Baileys or no Kahlua or nothing. And it's just love in there. So that's what we got going on over here. So we're gonna move right along. When reflecting on moments of failure or adversity, because goodness knows, being in the military and being married, you didn't hit a whole bunch. All right, so when reflecting on moments of failure or adversity, what inner strength or external strategies help you turn the situation around, and how can others tap into those same resources?
Reframing perspective.
Uh-oh.
That's the initial thing for me. When reflecting on moments of failure or adversity, I think a lot of time our perception of failure kind of throws us to the left. So we have to get to the point of reframing the adversity. It's something in that failure that's supposed to teach me something. Once I figured that part out, then I focus on the thing that I'm supposed to learn in the failure or in the adversity, and then let that be the thing that catapult me forward. And the key here is not to allow the failure or adversity to prevent you from doing it again. So when you get to the point and when you learn how to reframe things and look at things from a different perspective, seeking the goodness that is in it for you, right? Sure, the outside may look rotten, but once you open it up, the seed still exists. So can I pull a seed out and replant the seed? Absolutely. So those things got to the point to where it not only gives you confidence in the space of failure, perceived failure, or confidence in the space of adversity, but it helps us to move forward. So now, change perspective, reframing, different things leads to some degree of confidence, because now you have something more finite, something more concrete that you can use for your good moving forward. And how can others tap into that same resource? By simply trying.
Can you give us an example of reframing, like an example of when someone would have to reframe something?
Sure. Let's see.
I
Let's
ain't
go
mean
back.
to put you on the spot, but I
No, no,
did.
I'm okay with being on the spot. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll go back to your example about you and Roland, right? Roland in the gym getting all the games, and you trying what Roland doing, and then you realize that, man, I'm not growing, I'm not getting there. Like, you start getting down on yourself because you perceive what you're doing as a failure. But you could reframe it and say, you know what, I'm a whole lot further along now and I've actually started doing this, that I started making this a practice, that I started working it out. I'm seeing some games, it's just not rolling kind of games, right? So reframing it to look at that instead of looking at what you don't have, right? So that's the thing. You have to change your perspective. Instead of focusing on the thing that doesn't serve you well, reframe it and focus on the thing that does serve you well. So in that moment, say, you know what? I'm feeling better. I may not necessarily be rolling big, but I'm getting there, right? I'm not there yet. Using the word yet is probably one of the most underrated words that we can use, because it helps you to realize that it is a journey that you're pursuing. It's not something that you were supposed to put in the microwave and pull it out in 30 seconds.
I like.
I,
Go
my
ahead.
bad, go ahead.
One of you. Okay, I'll go.
I-
With me, another way to reframe it, I like where Coach went, because when we were in the military, it's in the same unit. The way we looked at like physical fitness tests, if you didn't get a 300, in our mind, you failed. Like, everybody else trying to get 60. What is it? 60. We never looked at
I was a
that.
280 guy, 280 and above.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, you got to at least get 270.
It runs,
So
boy.
it was like, and looking at it like not as I failed, so I'm giving up. Now I know I have something to look forward to working on. I got to get better in these areas so that I can catapult myself to where this is still my standard. Because if we hold ourselves to a certain standard, then whenever you fall below that, it's considered failure. But we've coaxed ourselves into looking at things as being average, being a C student, being just getting by. Well, I passed. Well, I this, and we allow our kids to do it, and we instill that mentality into them that, oh well, you tried, you'll do better next time. It's like, no, you're not pushing the drive into them, even though they did pass. But if their objective was just to pass, oh, they met their goal. But if you saying you shooting for the moon and you hit the ceiling, come on, you ain't even trying. So that's why I don't have to really try to get a C. I can do the bare minimum and get a C and pass and get a degree and get everything else. And when you have that mentality, you're only cheating yourself. So when you reflect on those moments where you let yourself down, because it's a competition with me and me. It's not a competition with me and with me and Coach, me and Gaddy. It's competition with me and me. So when I let myself down because I didn't uphold the standard, because I was continuing to be a fake friend, a fake partner, or whatever it is, I got to look in the mirror and say, man, how can I change this narrative to myself so that I can be better, so that I can grow, so that I can be the man that I say that I am, but actually become that.
Yeah, I like what everybody say. But when I look at reflecting on my failure, that first part is what stayed heavy, is reflecting on failure. I think that's the part where most people have a problem with. I I failed. I don't want to focus on that. I want to move on to another goal, another thing. I want to change what my plan is. And all of a sudden, God called me to something different. He called you to this until you failed, and so now because you failed, He called you over here. Or that just wasn't my season. Uh, I'm with Coach on using that term yet because if that's the goal, if that's what I'm setting out to do, this is what I really want to do. Why am I giving up so quickly on my first plan? Why am I on plan B so quickly? And so I believe that I have to start taking notes as a part of my reflection. I have to actually take time to understand what caused the failure, at what point did I fail, and how much did I put in to this failure. I understand sometimes things happen that are out of our control. I understand sometimes you know, we expected people to help out that didn't help, or what have you, whatever the goal was, or whatever the failure was. But I have to focus on what I can adjust, what I can do, being better going forward in order to go back into it. Uh, and then it allows me to have a better plan the next go round. Right? Scripture says, "What man buildeth the house and not first sit down and write the cost." Right? What is the cost of this house? What do I have to do to build it? How much brick do I need? How much square footage am I trying to? Like, are we really digging into the plan, or are we going on surface because we've seen somebody else do it? And so, from our vantage point, this is all it is. Right? And so I didn't do the proper research. I didn't put the proper effort. I didn't do the proper follow up. Whatever the case may be, what can I affect? And so I look at that as a primary point of reflecting. Now I need to know all avenues of what helped me or what caused me to fail. All right. But I also need to know how they all relate back to me because the only is myself. Did I go out this time? Hmm.
Yeah, but you
Uh,
back.
I'm back. I apologize. Um, so so what can I change? The only thing I can control is Tawami. So therefore, I need to know how every point of failure can lead back to me. What can I do to affect change? Um, or to affect adversity, right? What inner strength or external strategy helped, right? For me, it was understanding that, reviewing it, leading it back to myself, and now I think what's important too is that many of us are afraid to go take advice from someone and tell someone that we failed. But if I failed at a thing that coach succeeded at or he's successful at right now, maybe I should call him and say, hey, bro, so this is where I'm at. This is where I'm failed. These are some things that I noticed and I jotted down. Does it look good? Because since we on similar paths, does this plan look good? You got any advice? Blah. And hey, and this the key part because we talked about this a little bit last week. Here's the key part. If I call coach and I ask for that advice, though he's my brother, and though that's my boy, you know what I mean? And I'm expecting some good results from his advice because I see him moving and being successful. I'm not gonna say it because he loves you anyway. Uh, I'm gonna keep that part quiet. Y'all know what I was gonna say, and expect the best when that time comes around. Now, no, but I can't be surprised when he tells me the price, and I think that's a part of success too. A lot of us have a limit to what we would do for success, and for some of us, that limit is pay.
Ooh,
But I'm a
Can I tell you why?
hmm,
Can I tell you why we don't pay for things like that? Because
what?
we don't value ourselves enough.
Mm,
The
mm.
most important investment that you'll ever make is making on yourself. So if you're afraid to pay for something that will make you better for the duration of your life, it's only because you don't value yourself enough. You're still valuing things that are meaningless, like the external things. It's not the external things that'll make you grow, it's the internal things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it value myself or I don't believe in myself enough to pay?
Six in one hand, half a dozen the other.
Check right.
What about a baker's dozen? All right, moving right along. Hey, I was rolling last week. Week before last, not tonight. Here's how I'm gonna answer this question. Answer it? Oh, yeah. All right. So mine is how when reflecting on moments of failure or adversity, what inner strengths or external strategies helped me turn the situation around. Two things have helped me in the past. One, and still do, is pulling from past successes, right? So everything that you've been through. Every heartache and pain that you had, you've been through it. Every time that you were sick, you've been through it. You are going to get through it again. So being able to reach back and be like, you know what? I went through this, I made through it. I got divorced, I went through it. I retired, I got through it. I got demoted, I got through it. This happened, I got through it. I got a car accident, I got through it. Broke up with my girlfriend, got through it. Broke up with my boyfriend, got through it. Filed bankruptcy, got through it. Right? So we have, at our age, we have a long list of past successes. So one of the things that I do is I reach back in those times and I look back and I dig into my bag of successes. Like, you know what, brother, you went through all of this, you can go through this, right? One thing I do. And that brings me right around to the next part of that, which is self-talk, right? A lot of people think, oh, you be talking to yourself and they think it's a bad thing. No, talking to yourself is a good thing. Having conversation, even sometimes speaking things out loud can be a good thing too. I'll speak to myself all the time when I'm out there running. Sometimes I'll cut the podcast off and I'll start talking to myself because now not I'm only thinking it, but I'm talking it and then I'm hearing it again. So I believe in getting it in more different ways like that. So for me to answer this question, I think is pulling from past success and then self-talk and how can others tap into these is self-reflection, reflecting back on things, looking at things and spending some time in self-reflection. Because of time, I am going to shoot on to the next question, which is here we go. What are some of the most powerful tools or habits that have helped you maintain consistency and balance in your life, even when faced with uncertainty or chaos? And I want to Say this real quick again. Balance does not mean equality. It does not mean 50 and 50. That is not balance. That is equality, right? So again, what are some of the most powerful tools or habits that have helped you maintain consistency and balance in your life, even when faced with uncertainty or chaos? And then after this, ladies and gentlemen, this is our last question. After this, we would get to that final question that we talked about earlier in the show, and that is going to be, what is your superpower that you need right now? So that will be after this question. So with that being said, gentlemen, the floor is yours. Speak as you may.
I'll jump out there because I went down this path a few seconds ago. One of the most powerful tools or habits that have helped me to maintain consistency and balance in my life is the fact that when I look at my account, I am my biggest investment. I always am doing something to invest in me so that I can be better. Then I take some time to myself to ensure that I am digesting and processing the things that I am investing in. So whatever it is I'm investing, whether it's a book, whether it's a course, whether it's a seminar, whether it's a training session, whatever that looks like, I always create some time to reflect on the stuff that I'm learning. So I know my answer is short, sweet, and simple, but I think for me, that's all it is.
I don't know if you
I
reach
go.
it.
Now, I know it looked like I was reaching. I wasn't, but since that confusion, I'm gonna go ahead and go. Uh, my bad. Um, what are some of the most powerful tools or habits? Uh, and then the key part here was consistency and balance. Um, it's consistency. For me, the word is in there because I think consistency is something uh, that I can actually perform. I can stay consistent in my high performance. I can stay consistent in showing up. I can stay consistent in my investments. I can stay consistent in my savings. I can stay consistent uh, being there for my family. I can be consistent in the gym. You know, one of the key ways to me to keep consistency in my life is to not allow myself to become stagnant, to not allow myself to become a procrastinator, not allow myself to become easily distracted. Right. So the consistency part, I think a part of that is me staying consistent, uh, like the consistency coach, you know, running the miles every day till he gets to 300 miles. You know, by all means, he got the beard and everything, so he's gonna be looking like the Black Forest Gump in a few miles. You know, but nothing but love. But the balance part in your life, like, so for me, the balance part so much plays on the ability to keep people around you, a certain type of people around you. Let me say that, not just people around you, because a lot of times the imbalances in our lives are because we keep bringing people around us that don't fit the mold of what we're about, where we're going, what we're doing. And so and I know balance don't mean equality, but for me, balance means that everything is leveled in my life. I'm not I'm I'm not pulled to the left. I'm not pulled to the right. But balance to me might not be what everyone else means by balance. I want to walk my straight line. I want to walk my tightrope. That's my balance. Or I want to stay on this balance beam. That's balance to me. And I think sometimes we have people in our lives that want us to move this way, want us to operate this way, and we're so much trying to be friends to everyone that are around us that I like them to have balance because our our circle is not balanced. I don't think a balanced circle means I have to have a fool over here, a drunk over here, and the same person over here. I, balance means that we can stand in one spot together and not tilt to the left or to the right. So that's just how I understand. That's how I look at it. At least that's what works for me. So people in my life, or the people I try to keep around me have me centered, have my focus centered. I can call Coach, I can call Unc, and I can call Roland, and I think every last one of them are going to try to pull me down the same path when I'm going through situations. And so that's all I got on that.
I think the powerful tools and habits for me would be the clock and scissors. The clock because everybody had the same 24 hours in a day. So when I look at the clock, I don't say what I don't have because I already know what I do have. So what I identify is what can I do during these time frames to keep me from moving left or right, to keep me on track. Because I know that if I'm not doing something that I'm supposed to be doing, then I'm moving backwards. So the balance to the negative side is a little heavier. And when you're looking at that time, what am I spending my time doing? Am I spending my time doing something productive? Because that clock lets you know that, because you know if you can get on a like PS5, I can get on PS5 at 1 hour and I think, oh, it's been 15 minutes and it's been 3 hours. And I've just spent 3 hours entertaining myself doing absolutely nothing to build myself up. So learning that the clock is not there for you just to tell time and watch time, but it's to actually make time count. So when it comes to the scissors, sometimes you got to cut some things and some people out of your time frame, of your clock. You got to say, okay, this person is not beneficial in any way, so I got to cut them off. This person is beneficial a little bit, so I can spend a little bit of time here, but I'm trying to bring them over to where they're more beneficial. So when I say the time and the clock, that's kind of trivial, but that's saying that sometimes you got to cut some things or some people out of your life, or the time that you spend with those things, to where you can do things that are more profitable to where you're trying to be or who you're trying to become.
Are you getting the new Call of Duty?
I don't play it.
I'll be ready for you when you all. Just FYI.
Can I add something here real quick?
Yeah, add it.
I kind of want to go back and touch on consistency and balance, because I think a lot of times we have the wrong perspective. Continuing to do the same thing over and over and over again is definitely consistency. But if I'm doing the wrong thing over and over and over again, eventually I'm just going to consistently fail. So I think the consistency is not the repetition of behavior. Consistency has to be the repetition of progression. So whatever it is that I'm doing, and Garfield, I'm gonna use you for a second, because again, you're training for a marathon. I ain't never known you to train for a marathon before, but now he's training for a marathon. So he is continuing to up the ante. That's the consistency that we need to pursue, not just doing the thing over and 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 over again. No, that creates habits. And eventually, if you pay close attention to it, whatever it is you're doing that thing over and over again will create a habit. Now, if you get to the point to where you're changing that habit into a new habit, that's how you form a new habit. But the consistency that we should be seeking to pursue is the consistency with elevating each step, like a stair step, whatever the case may be. Next is balance. I like the fact that you said that balance does not mean equality, right? I like to look at balance kind of like a checkbook. It's like balance has to become a check and balance. There has to be things in my life to where I can, look at it and vet it against me to make sure that I'm in balance. So what does that really mean? That means that I don't surround myself, excuse me, I don't surround myself with everybody to say yes. I don't surround myself with everybody that do exactly what I want them to do, when they want them to do, and how I want them to do it. I surround myself with people who have an opinion, who have a thought that's different than mine, because I need that, because that helps to create more well-rounded thoughts. So now when you look at it from that perspective, consistency and balance now work hand in hand, because you have balance, because you have different perspectives in your circle, you have different background, you have different skill set, whatever the case may be. So you have a more balanced circle. And then now you look at the consistency within the scope of that circle, you will consistently grow because everybody is a part of that team.
And everybody had some great talking points It's not too much to add to that, but I want to go back to our NCO days. And I remember part of the NCO creed said that I will be fair and impartial when recommending both rewards and punishments. So when it comes to rewards and punishments, what are some of the most powerful tools or habits that have helped you maintain consistency and balance in my life? Rewards and punishments. Believe it or not, the consistency coach has rewards and punishments for his actions. If I don't do certain things when it comes to my fitness or to certain things, I can't buy certain things. If I don't do certain things when it comes to this, then I can't eat certain things that I may want to eat, or I may can't go out to eat and spend money like I want to. So believe it or not, I think that's something that I do in my life, and I think that that is one thing that more people should do. We like to place a lot of um things on everybody else when they don't do what they're supposed to do. We like to hold everybody else accountable. When Roland said he gonna call me back in 15 minutes and he don't call me back, you know what I mean? Now that's you know what I mean? So like just different things like that. So oh man, I lost my train of thought. Where was I at? Oh, rewards and punishments. Let me circle back. Yeah, rewards and punishments. I just think that we give ourselves too much slack, and a lot of times we don't take accountability for our actions and our behavior and how we operate in our day-to-day life. You know what I mean? We're quick to hold somebody else. I'm quick to hold Roland accountable for not calling me back in 15 minutes, but I told Coach and Gaddy 3 weeks ago that I was going to call them back, and I ain't called them back yet. So it's like rewards and punishments. And I know it may sound like something we do to our subordinates or to our kids or to our soldiers, but what if we applied that logic to our life? What if we put ourselves in control? You know what I mean? I think everything would be a lot better. So um, that's my response to this question. Is just that, like I said, one of the things that helps me maintain that consistency and balance in my life is simply rewards and punishments. You know what I mean? And it is when you stick to it and you can hold yourself accountable to those rewards and punishments, it's good, because you're like, yeah, man, I didn't did this, I didn't been good with my finances. So you know what? I get to go out and I get to go buy these J's. You know what I'm saying? Because I was diligent over my other money. So for me, that's kind of sort of my last talking point. Anybody else want to add anything else to this piece of chicken before we move on? Nope. Well, all right then. So what we're gonna do now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to get into our final thoughts, and our final thoughts for tonight is going to be the last question of the night. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you that while we are going through this last question of the night, which is again, let me throw it up here. There we go. What is the superpower you need right now? So as we are all going through our final thoughts, I would like for everybody to tap into the chat or whatever you're at and figure out, let us know what is the superpower that you need right now in your life. And with that being said, we're going to start going around the horn with our final thoughts, and we'll be back in a few.
Man, this was a good topic. I liked how it evolved. And so, in the space of this question, what is the superpower I need right now? It would be the ability, and I'm using superpower for the record, as in something that I'm not sure if it's attainable, but in the sense of what I need, the ability to read people's intentions as they come into your life. Because I think too often we like to show people what they want to see. We're auditioning for a space in people's life. We're auditioning for a friendship. We're auditioning for a relationship. We're auditioning for whatever it is we're trying to be with a business partner. So we put on our interview person, but not the person that's actually going to show up on the job. And so I'm learning how to watch people's movement when they when I meet people, when I talk to new people, watch their interaction skills and how they respond. Because I really don't want anyone in my space that don't have good intentions and that's not willing to walk together. Because how can two walk together except they agree, right? It's the idea, but not just agree in the sense of you say yes to everything I say, but agree in that we understand what the goal is, what the outcome is, what it should look like on the way there, and we agree that the Most High is the only powerful and Most High God, right? That we understand that He he sent his son. We understand that his name is a strong tower. We have these commonalities in our core understanding and belief, and so we can walk together in unity. But too many people like to put on the representative, and so being able to understand people for who they are and see them at their core by how they do things when they meet people or when they're new to meeting people is a superpower that I wish that I could attain right now. And that's all I got for my fun.
Man, y'all crazy. Y'all talking about superpowers. I want to be like Wolverine. I want that healing power. No, but on a serious note, in the same line or the same vein as Wolverine, I want that endurance that when people fail me, when I fail myself, I have the endurance to get back up. I have the endurance to keep going. I have the endurance to stay in the race because that endurance it helps you when you fall short. It helps you because it's like, okay, yes, I got hurt. Because you can expect when you're in any race, when you're in anything, and you allow people to come into your space and you're vulnerable, you can expect for pains to come, but you need that endurance to get beyond that. Just like Wolverine, he get hurt, he bounced back. It's because of his bone structure, but for us, it's because of what we learn and how we study. Because when you study the scriptures and that get inside you, it starts to grow inside you, so that you know that it's not against you that this thing happened, but it's towards him. So you can't take it personal. And yeah, that being that endurance helps you stay true to the task, because I know that I'm doing everything just like Unc. He know that when he's running 2 miles, when he's running 10 miles, that pain that he's established will happen. It's going to come anyway, but it's for him to get to the said end. He got to make that 26 miles, and he know that it has a purpose in his life. So the pain he know will come, but he has to have that endurance so that he can withstand it. So he's eating bananas, building up potassium and all these other things. He's stretching more. He's doing all these things, knowing the pain is coming, so that he can first be obedient to the task and the taskmaster. So for me, I want to be like Wolverine. I want to have that endurance to where when something happens that discourages, when pains come that hurt, I can continue to bypass all of that and focus on the end goal that I'm striving for.
For me, what is the superpower I need right now and why is empathy. Just being transparent. I think, I think I am a little bit more empathetic, but I think that I could probably be a little bit more empathetic. I think that, probably, some of these other gentlemen can attest to it. When you have built up a lot of resilience in your life, sometimes you may not be as empathetic to people and to situations as we should be, and why do I think I need my superpower right now to be empathy? I think it's because not a reset, but I think it's time to do an evaluation of my friends and my circle and just things that's going on in my life, just different relationships. And I think that, when it comes to family and friends, I think that sometimes having those times in your life where you reevaluate relationships, kind of look at what's for you, what's not for you. And I think sometimes it takes some empathy, because it's easy for me to say, hey, this person is doing and living like this, so I'm just going to disregard them, even though they're part of my family or a relative or something like that. When I may not necessarily be looking at everything or even looking through things from an empathetic lens. So again, for me, what is my superpower that I need right now? And that for me is empathy.
Oh man, this has been good. I think for me, the superpower, and you guys gotta humor me for a second. The superpower that I need right now, that I think everybody needs right now, not just me, but I think because we have it, I just think it needs to be strengthened. It needs to be stretched. It needs to be more robust in our life. And that superpower is called expectation. I think the problem with us is that we have an expectation that has zero responsibility metric that goes along with it. And so when you look at what expectation really and truly is, and you can look it up and Google it for yourself, it is the belief that a particular thing is going to happen or something is going to be, right? So when you look at your expectation, or when you consider your expectations and how expectation actually works for you, it should look similar to this thing they call faith. Because in my opinion, they go hand in hand. And I think it's a superpower that everybody already has. But the problem is we don't necessarily exercise it enough, or we have an expectation for the thing that was never promised to us. And when we have expectations for things that were never promised to us, now we get discouraged, and then we teach ourselves not to have expectations anymore. But it's not that you can't have expectations anymore. It's just that you can't have expectation for something that's not yours. So we expect things to happen that doesn't line up with what his will is. We expect things to happen that doesn't line up with what is good and what is righteous and all those other great stuff. We expect things to happen. We expect, and I'm just going to go out on a limb, and I know I don't do this normally. We expect the government to come and save us. But again, we expect the wrong things. But what if our expectations was pointed at his promises? And the conduit of faith for us is the expectation of the outcome that he promised us. What if we exercise that faith to such a degree that we expected his word to be real in our life, and then our behavior moving forward was based upon the thing that we expected, which totally lines up with what he actually said? That is the superpower that I believe that everybody, to include myself, can improve on right now.
Man, everybody has some great superpowers that they need. I'm even looking at excuse me, I'm even looking at the chat, and I'm seeing the absence of limiting beliefs. I'm seeing creativity. What else? The ability to ask for help. Ooh, huge one. Huge one. That's a huge one right there. Who said that? James Samuel. Thank
That,
you for
bro-
that.
that,
And
that brother,
everybody.
that brother that's supposed to be sitting up here with us.
Oh yeah. Bro, that's what's up. The ability to ask for help. That can probably be for a lot of people. You know what I mean? A lot of people tend to hold things in, not ask for help, man. I think I would be lying. I don't think I would be correct if I say that at least all of us up here on this panel have at some point in time not asked for help when we needed to. So um but with that being said, man, I want to thank y'all tonight for, being here. Every single word that you guys said, I was on it. I mean, I got to learn something tonight again. I love when we have these shows where You know, they're good, they're informative, and I get to learn. You know, I like being selfish. You know what I mean? I'm just being honest. I look forward to these conversations because I get to learn and I like to learn. You know, I like being around these gentlemen, all these great things like this. I like interacting with the chat, yada, yada, yada. So, with that being said, gentlemen, please, if y'all have anything else to say right now, to close us out, real quick, please do so before we hit that end button.
I think that talks like this are humbling because they allow people to see and allow us to speak that, hey, this ain't a perfect walk. We need one another to continue to lift up. Hey, you guys lift my head. Hopefully I do the same for you. And as we walk and we learn and we grow and we do better, hopefully we can spread that to everybody in our community and so forth and so on, because this is like what the brother said about not asking for help. You know, that's not just a male trait. That's a human trait that sometimes you think that you're being a burden or you know it all or any of thing that you can think of, but sometimes it's just that thing that tells you not to do it. But when I know that I can come to my brothers, come to my sisters, where they can edify me, and not just with encouraging words, but the encouraging word, it's a benefit.
Mindset coach.
I just want to appreciate everybody, man. That's it. And it may sound small, but to me, it's not. Like I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate everybody in the chat. Crystal's working hard. I appreciate the fact that she is doing all of that and keeping everybody informed on what we got going on as a community. I appreciate everybody who is helping. You're helping me out tremendously. I don't think you realize how much you are. I appreciate that. Like I'm just like literally full of appreciation. So I just want to say thank you to every last one of you, even if you're showing up to support. Like I appreciate you for being here. For those people who've had family that has been affected by Helene, has been affected by, you know, Milton. And I'm sorry, I had the R. Kelly thing going in the back of my head, like Milton, hurry up and get your keys and crank your car up. You guys know the song. Stop playing. So Hurricane Helene, Hurricane Milton, man, listen, if you guys got family members out there, my heart goes out. Please make sure that you call and check on them. If you know somebody who has family members, make sure that they're doing good. Like a lot of people, I'm just being completely transparent. I witnessed a grown man break down and cry because he had so much stress on his shoulder. People are not okay. Just check on them. I'm just being transparent.
Yeah, and lucky for some of them, they got about $750 coming in. No shade. Moving along. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you being here tonight. See you again. The next show that you guys are going to have will be when? Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday? Nope.
Sunday.
Sunday. All right.
Yeah, no. There's a webinar tomorrow, but I'm gonna cancel it and I'm gonna postpone it. And so for all of you who's registered, don't worry about it. You will be registered for it next month. I'm gonna postpone it and push it out to next month. That way, I give other people the opportunity to register. So we're still gonna have our diamond meeting tomorrow. That's gonna be at 9:30. So I'll post the link on the website shortly after this. To Sunday is Mr. Rolling Down the Street. Skreet. Mr. Rolling Down the Street. No, I'm sorry, Street. He is going to be hosting TikTok on Sunday, so make sure that you guys join us. As always, it's going to be fun, and I'm going to be quiet so the consistency coach can close us out.
Just in case y'all missed it, it's only been about a week or so, but Roland is now 51. In case y'all missed it earlier.
There you go. Happy birthday to Mr. Rolling Down the Street, ladies and gentlemen. The Unk, Dwayne, Timothy, poor man Dr. Phil, everybody else. We are out. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.